said earlier, our discussion segment today is in two phases. And then we're kickstarting the second aspect of our discussion segment, talking about CIPM. And then our guest, Mallam Ahmed Ladan Gobir, FCIPM. He is the president and chairman of the Governing Council, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
All right, it's nice having you. What are the guidelines, core values, mission, and vision of CIPM?
Okay, thank you very much. The CIPM, the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, is Nigeria's premier human resource management institute. We are chartered by an act of the National Assembly. The institute is 56 years old this year, having started way back in 1968. We are responsible for not only managing human resource practice in the country, but also regulating, the practice of human resource in Nigeria generally. We also do a lot of trainings and learning and development interventions for members and for non-members of the institute. So our mission and vision, of course, is to remain the institute of choice for people management in Nigeria. Our core values revolve around the acronym SCRIPT. And for SCRIPT, we mean service, creativity, respect, integrity, professionalism, and teamwork. These are core values as an institute.
Okay, so what are the various membership routes and requirements?
Okay, to become a member of the CIPM, we do have various membership routes, starting, of course, with the examination route. Okay. Now, the examination route is the route for either students who are learning or studying human resources or industrial relations in the universities, or for practitioners of HR who are yet, of course, to acquire at least about 5 to 7 years experience, in the practice of HR. So, or for practitioners in other professions who want to switch, from that other profession to HR. So such people come in through the examination route. We then have the practitioners route, which is the HR practitioners route. And that mainly is for people who have spent at least 7 years in the practice of HR, 5 of which actually must be in the practice of HR, and they must also have taken some learning and development interventions in HR practice. Then there's the executive route. The executive route is for practitioners of HR or administration who have reached or attained the director level, in the public service. And by director, I mean, say, from the assistant director level onwards, and they must have spent at least a minimum of about 12 years, in their careers. They must be seen to be people who are already, in the practice of HR or administration, and they must also have been seen to have taken some courses, in HR, which stands them out, from their career. So getting the certification then stands them out as a true professional, in the institute. So people come in through what we call the executive route, and they come in, as full members of the institute, while those who come in from the HR practitioners route come in as associates, and those from the examination route also come in as associates. Those who come through the executive route come in as full members. And once they are inducted, they then wear their MCIPM after their names, just like the others will wear ACIPM. Then there are various other routes. We have a route for military personnel who want to join the institute, who are in the practice of HR. There's a route for academic people in the academics who also are either professors, PhD holders, or lecturers in human resource management or industrial relations practice, who want to join. So those are the various routes, at least through which people can become members of the institute. But basically, we focus on people who are in the HR space, or people who want to convert or switch from some other profession to
to
HR
HR.
space. Yes.
Okay. And then how long does CIPM certification take and level placement in the workplace?
Well, certification ordinarily will take between 1 year to maximum maybe about 2 years. That's because of those who, for example, who need to take the examination. You understand? But for those who are coming in as practitioners, you know, of course the journey is shorter, you know, because you're already a practitioner. You've already taken some courses in HR. We do assessments, you know, and sometimes this takes between 3 months, you know, to say maximum of 6 months, and then we do their induction. But it's to be sure that such practitioners are actually in the practice of HR. They have knowledge of HR and industrial relations practice, you know, and then they've also been able to take courses, you know, which we can assess to say that yes, they are truly practitioners of HR who desire the certification to make them thoroughbred professionals.
Okay, and the assessment is not an examination? No,
for those in the HR practitioners and the executive members out, they do not take examination. But for students, you know, and those who have to come in through the examination route, they take various diets of our examination.
Okay. Why should one consider CIPM as an HR professional?
Well, again, like I said, not only are we the apex regulatory body for the practice of HR in Nigeria, we are the only one chartered by an act of the National Assembly to regulate the practice of HR. You know, first the institute was chartered by Decree number 58, you know, of 1992 by the military government, which then became an act, you know, of the National Assembly as soon as we transitioned, you know, into democracy. So the institute is one chartered by, you know, CAP L15, you know, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, you know. But the original charter, of course, was by Decree number 58, you know, of 1992. You know.
Okay,
so just to now, because we are the ones who have the mandate by law to manage and to regulate the practice of HR. You know, we encourage people who say they want to be HR practitioners, you know, to come into the CIPM. Not only do you get certified, you also get a practitioner's license. You know, and the practitioner's license, once you get it, usually have a lifespan of about 3 years, after which, of course, you renew. Now, beside certification and beside getting the license, now CIPM provides constant learning opportunities for its members. We're on a weekly basis, we're dishing out courses, we're training people. You know, on a monthly basis, for example, we have a program we call CIPM and You every month, you know, which we do, and we usually have over 1,000 practitioners logging in virtually, you know, for the CIPM and You webinar. It's a webinar series where we bring in professionals in the industry to come and talk on various topics of interest, you know, from talent acquisition to talent management to leadership, learning and development, compensation and benefits, to AI, you know, and HR analytics, you know, using technology to provide HR solutions. So we do all forms of learning. Now, our flagship program is usually the International Conference and Exhibition, and we just held the 56th edition, which means we have been doing it every year for 56 years. For 56 years. The 56th edition of the International Conference and Exhibition between 14th to 17th of October, you know, in Abuja. Now, that conference provides learning opportunities for attendees, and it also provides opportunities for attendees to network with professionals from diverse backgrounds. This is something that, beyond value for money for people who join.
And so it doesn't come with any extra cost?
Well, of course, no. For the conference, people of course have to pay conference fees.
The webinar?
Like any other. No, the webinar, no. We send out the link, people join the webinar, you do not have to pay for our webinar.
Okay,
we also have radio series,
right,
you know, that we do regularly, you know, on some radio stations, also on a monthly basis, where we talk to to people, beside the in-house or on-site trainings that we do at our headquarters in Lagos or in Abuja or in various other places.
All right, let's talk about the breakthrough in your own view. What do you think is the breakthrough of your association or the contribution of your association to the development in Nigeria,
Well, we talk about factors of production, okay, whether in the public sector or in the private sector. And oftentimes people are looking at capital. Once you get finance, whether through a loan from the bank or whatever, you can set up a business. Once you are able to acquire machines, you are able to set up a business. Once you have land and building, we think you are able to set up a business. But to acquire capital, to acquire the machines that you need, to even get the land and building that you need people. Okay. And that is why we say human capital is the most important factor of production in the production process. You cannot do all of this without people. So what do we do, as CIPM? It is our responsibility to ensure that those who are going to manage or run these businesses are properly equipped to do so. And that's why every business, every organization requires an HR professional. Okay. If it's in the private sector, you require an HR manager. Even if it's in public service, you require an admin officer or a personnel officer in the public service. What do? We're the ones who manage people. We're the ones who help you to recruit. We are the ones who have the capacity to identify the talents that you need, to drive your businesses or your organizations. We're the ones who manage these people that are recruited, from end to end, the whole employee life cycle, from onboarding to offboarding. So we determine what is fair compensation for people we bring in. As HR professionals, we look at the people that we have brought in, and we believe that for them to be able to add more value to the business they are running, they require some learning and development interventions, and we do all of this. So for us in CIPM, we train people. Our focus is on human capital management and human capital development. And I think we've done very well, without blowing our own trumpet, helping the nation, to develop human capital for the development of the nation.
All right, quickly, your word, your advice to Nigerians, particularly in this present economic challenges.
Okay, thank you. The nation, just like the whole world, is going through very tough and very difficult times. I have some family relations who just came back from the UK just last week, and we were talking, and they were telling me, wow, things are very expensive, in the UK. Inflation is gone. When we look at how much we used to buy ordinary shirts, and stuff like that, it's difficult to buy gifts to bring for people now. Maybe you will come back home to look for things that you can buy to give people. What I'm trying to say is that the challenges that we're facing in Nigeria are challenges not only born out of whatever is happening in Nigeria, but is an international thing, is a global thing. But what can we do? What we often advise as human resource professionals is for people to be resilient. Thankfully, as Nigerians, we are very, very resilient. We're very, very resilient people. Times are hard, but we then advise people to try to make themselves, not only employable, and how do you become more employable? We ask people to try to reskill themselves, to try to upskill themselves, to self-development, to ensure that at least they can access various other opportunities that are happening. And a lot is happening now in the world. There's what we call the gig economy for those of us who are in the private sector. People are doing a lot of hustlings around. So sticking to just what I do 8 to 5 may not necessarily be able to pay all the bills. People do, well, in some places they will call it side hustle or whatever. But what we're saying is people should look for various other opportunities to enhance their income.
Thank you very much. It's been so insightful, so interesting having you on the program.
Thank you.
I particularly am going home with that acronym, of the script of integrity, the script of your core values.
That's right.
I love that. That's a beautiful one to take home.
That's right.
All right, viewers at home, your entertainment segment is next. Don't go away.
Here we stand as a people with one song, with one